Good afternoon, happy Tuesday, and welcome to Coffee and a Card. I know I am a couple minutes late, sorry about that. So let me just pull this up, make sure that I'm actually live. Oh, wait, I think I just saw it. There we go. Yes. Oh, we gotta turn that volume down. Okay, so yes, happy Tuesday. I do exist. I realized I had a company over, and she had come, and I knew she was coming, so I was all ready for Facebook Live. And then all of a sudden I realized I didn't put out a reminder to you guys that I was going live today. So sorry about that. But here we are. I am live. So I know some of you will just catch this on the replay later, and that's totally fine. But welcome to those of you who are here now. So it is Tuesday. This is Coffee and a Card, and I am Holly with Handcrafted Blessings. So excited to welcome you here. So we're going to make a couple of cards here today. Actually, I think technically 3. I had a fun folds class at my house last night, and I just decided to show you guys a couple of the designs. We did 3 different fun folds last night. I'm just going to show you 2 of them here today because, well, they were just fun. And I thought, well, let's just show you guys also. So that's what I'm going to do today. But a lady from my grief share class came over, or one of the leaders, she came over to talk to me, and we got talking, and all of a sudden it was like 2 o'clock, and I thought, oh shoot, I gotta go. So anyways, welcome y'all. I do not have any happy mail to share today, but I'm going to jump right into the projects and show you some fun folds. So I'm going to start with one that, because Patricia said she thought I was still eating Gouda mac and cheese pizza. Let me tell you guys, that pizza was so yummy. I went to Minnesota over the weekend, and I went to Mall of America and went to this pizza place called Frankie's and had Gouda mac and cheese pizza, and it was so good. So yummy. I went to the Mall of America and went to the Lindor truffle store. Oh my gosh. I had like a whole bag of truffles, and it's so exciting. So, all right, enough chatting from me. Let me put my camera down, and we will get started with a couple of fun folds. Now, this first one, the reason I'm showing you 2 is because using 1 sheet of cardstock actually makes 2 cards. And so it just made sense to do it that way. So we're just going to make 2 cards at the same time. And this is what I would recommend you do if you make this design, is just make 2 of them, because it's, supply-wise, it's just easy. So this is the first design that we're going to look at here. So I'm sure you've seen this card, and you'll see here we got 2. So I'm going to show you how to make this card. And of course we don't want naked envelopes. So I will admit, I forget all the time to stamp my envelopes, but then I get mail from you guys, and y'all have stamped your envelopes, and I just think it's so cute. So I'm trying to do better about stamping envelopes, because I think it's a fun way to tie it in with your cards. So let's take a look at how to make this card, and then I've got another fun fold I'm going to show you after this one. So we're going to be using, this is fresh freesia. I've got some tea paper, although I'm actually going to turn it over and use the back sides, but this is from the Tea Boutique Designer Series paper. Our other colors, of course, fresh freesia. We've got our basic white. We've got Tahitian Tide and Parakeet Party. All right, so we'll just set this over here. So we're going to take our piece of cardstock right here, just a whole piece. And I'm going to grab my Stampin' Trimmer. Now, I did discover last night that people have, if you don't have a Stampin' Trimmer, you might have to make some modifications to how I show you to do this, just because different trimmers work differently. I gotta take a drink. Okay, I just spent 2 hours talking to a friend, and now trying to talk to you guys again. It's a lot of talking. So modify as you need to make this work in your trimmer, but let me just give you the measurements and how you go about making this card. So we're going to start by scoring. So first we're going to score on the long end at 5.5. So we're scoring it in half. Oh, my shirt's caught in the trimmer. All right, so we've scored it at 5.5, and now I'm going to turn it and I'm going to score it in half again. So I'm going to score it at 4.25. Here we go. So what we've done is we've turned our card into 4 quadrants. Okay, so now I'm going to do my diagonal cut. Now what you're going to see is even with the Stampin' Up! Trimmer, the paper doesn't actually quite fit. So we do have to use our snips to finish off this cut, but that's okay. It still works. So what I'm doing is I'm lining up my corners in the track, both top and bottom, and then we're going to cut this at the diagonal all the way like that. Now what's going to happen is you're going to see that at each end it didn't quite fully cut, so I'm just going to do a tiny little snip here to finish this side, and then we're going to turn it around and we're going to do a tiny little snip on the end. There we go. And so that way now we have our 2 triangles. And I'm going to set this, actually I'll just set that aside because we're going to need that trimmer here in just a second. So now what I'm going to do is I already have my score lines. So I'm just going to fold on my score lines, and it's just as simple as that. I'm going to grab my bone folder. It's really as simple as that I now have that fun fold. So I'll close this, and I don't want my flaps to be overlapping, so I'm just making sure that everything worked well with my scoring. There we go. And then same thing here. Just close this one, line up my the little points here. And then we'll do this one. There we go. So we have 2 bases. Now, I actually happened to create these so they both open the same direction. That's actually kind of surprising. All of the cards I've made thus far, I end up making them so that the cards open 2 different directions. So that's surprising. Okay, so now what I have are 2 pieces of designer series paper, and these measure at 4 by 6. Okay, 4 by 6. So what I'm going to do is, my first suggestion to you is to take your 4 by 6 piece of paper and lay it on your card front and decide which way you're going to do it. So I am gonna, I'm probably going to do it this way. So when I lay it on my card front, I can tell, because of where my slit is, I need my angle to go right here. This matters, especially if your paper is directional. Because sometimes your diagonal might be the opposite way. So you really want to pay attention to which way do you need to cut your diagonal, especially if your paper is directional, because you don't want your teapots to be upside down. Okay, so we have 4 by 6. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to come back here. I'm actually just going to put them both together and cut at the same time. And I'm going to cut off 3/4 of an inch from the bottom. So what I'm doing is I have just, and we're going to save these because we're going to need these later for our card. But basically I've just created this to be 4 by 5 1/4. Okay. And so now we are going to do our diagonal. And I'm going to go ahead and put them together and just cut the diagonal at the same time. You could cut them one at a time if you wanted to. But our designer series paper is thin enough that it totally works to cut 2 sheets at the same time. So now I have my sets of triangles. So I'm going to set this aside here. Okay. So I've got my 2 cards. Now what I can do is I can stick these on here, and I could do something like this. Okay. And then I would have these two together. But I'm actually going to do this. I'm going to move this one over here. I'm going to put here, and we're going to do that, okay? We're going to mix and match today. So I'm going to take this, and I'm going to stick my tape on the back of my triangle. So we're just going to get it all gummed up with tape. And so we're just going to center it here on our panel. There we go. Then we'll take the other one, and we're just going to repeat this across our card. So, hello everybody. I see some new people coming in, so welcome. I had a fun folds class here at my house last night, and so I am showing you a couple of the fun folds that we did last night because I thought it would be fun to show you, and I had some extra kits made up. So the reason we're doing 2 of this card, if you're just joining, is because out of 1 piece of cardstock, you get 2 of these folds. And so it just made sense, instead of having this random triangle of cardstock, that I'd just go ahead and make 2 cards at the same time. Now, if you wanted to have more layers on the front of your card, so you'll remember I started with, this was 4 by 5 1/4. You could go 1/4 of an inch down, okay? So you could have a cardstock layer right here that was 4 by 5 1/4, and then make your designer series paper 3 3/4 by 5, and still do the same diagonal cuts, but it would give you some additional layers on your card front. So just something to keep in mind, okay? All right, we have a couple of white pieces of paper. Just raided my little stock of white. So these are 4 by 5 1/4 as well. And you'll remember we have these 2 little strips of paper, which I don't want to waste. So we're just going to bring those back here. And we're going to put them on the bottom of our basic white. Now, if you wanted to stamp your white, I would say stamp it before you adhere this, simply because then if you mess up, you can turn it over. Oh, I just did that on the wrong side, but it's all good. It's easier to adhere when I can see the bottom of the white paper, so there we go. So we've got those 2. We're just going to turn these over. So it's kind of nice doing 2 at the same time because, you know, at the end you have even more cards that you've made. So because I've mixed and matched my patterns, I'm not really worried about which one goes inside of which card. So we'll just stick one there, and we'll put the other one here. And then we're going to work on stamping our sentiment and finishing the front of the card, okay? So there we go. So for our front of our card, for the class people, I had actually cut these squares out for them to match the teacup side of the paper. But then when we decide to turn this paper over, you end up with kind of a different color combination, but I really like it, so I'm going to go ahead and stick with it. So my squares here, got 3 different sizes. We have 2 3/4, 2 1/2, and 2 1/4. So 2 3/4, 2 1/2, 2 1/4. Just 3 sizes of squares. So we're going to take the blue and green here, the Parakeet Party and Tahitian Tide. And we're going to go ahead and adhere these on our fresh freesia. There we go. And now we're going to put them on our card front. So you've got some decisions. You can put it so that it's on the upper flap. You can also put it so that it's on this flap. You really get to pick, okay? I think I'm going to go with the top flap. So what I like to do is I like to position it right where I want it. And then I'm going to open the card because this is how I need it to be adhered to this panel. But that means I don't want tape anywhere right here. So what I like to do is just put my fingers where I don't want tape and grab the square like that. So now I know where my fingers are, there should not be any adhesive. So we're just gonna put our adhesive on, close this back up, stick it down, and now when I open my card, there's no adhesive sticking out right here because I had protected that with my fingers. So let's do it again. I think I'm gonna stick with the top panel. I kind of like that. So I want it adhered right here. So I don't want any adhesive right there. So I just grab it with my fingers. And that ensures that you don't put tape in the wrong spot. So we're just gonna put that down here and I can check and I don't have any adhesive right there. If you get some here, you got a couple of options. You could grab your embossing buddy and kind of rub it on there to get that adhesive to come off. You may also have a sand eraser. You can get these on Amazon and that'll take off the gummy residue from your tape. So just make sure there's no adhesive right here, because if there is, when you close this, you're going to tape your card closed and we don't want that. Okay. All right. So we're going to take our two white ones and I am going to use, because I was using the tea paper, I'm actually going to use this teacup right here. And then I'm going to use sentiments from the Lovely and Lasting stamp set. So this is my August Card Club kit, or yeah, stamp set. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for. This is the stamp set I'm using for my August Card Club. So I've been designing with it a lot. So I thought I'd just grab it because it's got some great sentiments here that we can use. All right. So fresh freesia. Ooh, a little squeaky today. We're gonna use this leafy teacup here. And I'm just gonna stamp it right down at the very bottom. Oh, I think I might have just gone off. Oh, just barely got that in there. Okay, so we're gonna stamp the other one. It's moments like this where stamping upside down is actually quite challenging, because I'm like trying to line it up and and see without putting my head in the way of you guys. Okay, so now I'm gonna grab Happy Birthday. So now I have room to put Happy Birthday right there above it. Now what I would say is if you want to stamp something that is larger or smaller, just adjust your squares accordingly. Like maybe you only want this to be a 2-inch square instead of 2 1/4. You can modify that. Just adjust your layers together as you go. So we'll go ahead and take this and we'll just tape these on here. Just like so. So this gives us our mixed and matched cards. And if I bring back the original designs, this was how I had first done it. So you'll see Parakeet Party is in the teacups and then Tahitian Tide is in the teapots. So just different ways that you can use, use your pieces. You can mix and match your two designer series paper. You can do them as, designs directionally like this. And then on the inside, I did turn it over. So the inside has that same back side as these right here. So I thought that was a fun little fold. Oh, and you know what we'll do? We'll set these here for a second. And we'll take our envelopes. I'll just grab this. And our teacup again. And we're just going to stamp that teacup right there so that these will have matching envelopes all set and ready to go. And I just thought of this now. Otherwise I would have grabbed the paper to show you. But you know what else would be fun is now on the back of these to take a strip of this Designer Series paper and stick it on the envelope flap. Then you would have a really coordinated set of cards and envelopes. So I think that would be fun too. All right, let me show you one more fun fold. So that's our first fun fold for today. And then our second one is actually going to feature a bunch of, this is retired product, but it's really about the fold, okay? So unfortunately, this coffee paper I'm about to show you is no longer available, but let's just focus on the fold, okay? Because I think it would work with a lot of different sets that we have. I think it would work with the tea set that we just had. So you could put your tea paper right here, and then you could cut out your teacup to be on the flap. So this is the card that we're going to make. So I think it would translate really well with the tea. I think you could cut out flowers for your flap. You could do the critters, like the hippo would look really cute on this. So, but I had some of these kits laying around and I really wanted to show this fold last night in my class. And so I decided that I would just pull out these old kits and show them how to make this fold. So we're going to start with a base that measures 4 1/4 by 9 1/2. So this is 4 1/4 by 9 1/2. And we're going to score it at 5 1/4. And that's what gives us this little, right here, this extra flap there. So 4 1/4 by 9 1/2. And then we're going to take a strip of early espresso. And this one is 4 1/4 by 1 1/2. Okay. So it's not quite, it's, how do I say this? It's the rest of this piece of paper. Okay. If you add this all up, this is 4 1/4 by 11. So we're only using half a sheet of paper for this. So when you have your 4 1/4 by 11, you're just cutting off 1 1/2 inches. Okay. So I just want to kind of show you how I did that so you're not wasting your cardstock. All right, but we're going to start with these two pieces. We've got Garden Green and Basic White. So our Garden Green measures in at 4 by 5. And then the white, sorry, I'm having trouble talking and taping. The white is 1/4 inch smaller, so it's just 3 3/4 by 4 3/4. Okay, so we're gonna put our flap so that it overlaps our white right here. So I can come around to the back and I can just tape down that flap. Oh, you know what I might have forgotten to say? We scored this flap at 1 1/4 inch, 1 1/4 inch, okay? And don't worry, as you know, I post all of the directions, the supplies and measurements over in the community group, because I know I'm throwing a lot of measurements at you right this second. So you can always pop over to the community group later today and you will find all of these measurements over there, so that you can make this card. Okay, got a little overlap right there. All right, we're going to stick this in here, and we want to make sure that our early espresso flap is on the opposite side of our card front. Okay, so you see these open opposite directions, so be mindful of that. Let's put this here, and there we go. So then we've got another piece of Garden Green, and this one measures at 4 by 4. And then our Designer Series paper comes in at 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. So keeping really easy measurements here with the squares so that it doesn't have to end up being confusing. This ends up being a really quick and easy card to put together. And again, you could get 2 of these out of 1 sheet of cardstock. So 1 sheet of early espresso would create 2 of these card bases. So we'll stick this paper on the front. like so. So it becomes kind of a fold like that. See? So then we need to decorate our flap. So we've got a coffee cup, and I'm going to put my coffee sleeve over it because this is a piping hot cup of coffee. So we're going to stick it here to find where it lines up. There we go. Then we're going to take our coffee lid, and I'm going to grab some mini dimensionals. I'm just going to stick those on here because I got to hide my dimensionals. So I'm going to use those mini ones. All right. If you don't have mini dimensionals, you can always cut the regular ones into smaller pieces. That would work too. Oh man, I broke my thumbnail, and it makes it a lot harder to grab these dimensional backings off. All right, so I'm just going to stick my lid here on the top of my coffee cup. I'm going to turn it over, and I want to make sure that none of my dimensionals are sticking out. I've got a little bit sticking out, so I'm going to push that down because I don't want we don't want adhesive in the wrong spot. Okay. Then we'll put a couple of dimensionals right here on the flap. Oh, there we go. And we can put our coffee cup down over that. Kind of gives us our card opener. And last but not least, I've got a real red heart here. Oh, uh-oh. Got some of that paper backing. So if you're struggling like I am to get your backings off, the pokey tool works well for it too. I just thought I'd let you guys watch me struggle with it, you know. It seems more fun, right? Okay, but this is just a cute little fun fold that I think you can really highlight. Like I said, you could highlight anything. You could put like characters, the hippos, you know, a bear, I don't know, a bouquet of flowers, the bird, like the bird punch. You could punch out a bird to put on your flap. So really, pretty much anything works. It could even be a die cut that you put, you know, or a punched out piece here. So I'm just trying to give you some different ideas because I want you to be able to see past the retired product to say, what could I do with my current supplies to make this cute little fold? So that is our second fun fold, and our first one was this one. So I will put the supplies and measurements for both of these cards over in the community group so that you can see them and make your own versions. So, and then I really hope that when you make your own version that you'll also post it in the community group, because then we can see your variation and it kind of gets people thinking about, oh yeah, well maybe I could do this or maybe I could do that. So feel free to post away over there so that we can see what you make as well. So thanks so much for tuning in for our fun folds here on Coffee and a Card, and be sure to encourage one another and build each other up. I'll see you again soon.